Video 21, Learning to Love What Must Be Done. I almost didn't film this today. I have a headache and I don't particularly feel motivated. I'm tired from 10 days of work travel. It's gloomy outside. And I could have easily told myself that I'll just do it tomorrow. But I didn't. And that actually ties into something that I've been learning here lately, that the Lord just really had on my heart. Hey, I'm Lisa, and this is Second Peak Midlife. There's a quote that's been sitting with me lately. Cease endlessly striving to do what you want to do, and learn to love what must be done. I'm not sure who said it, but what struck me about that wasn't just do it anyway, Nike style, just do it. It was the idea that learning to love it, not just do it. Because for most of my life, I was always chasing something, chasing a result, a goal, an outcome. Lose the weight, get more disciplined, feel in control. And I thought, once I got there, then everything would fall into place. My life would be just how I want it and would stay there. And I would get there, be there, and I'd arrive. But it didn't ever work out that way because there was always another there. And what I'm starting to see now is that mindset is what kept me stuck. Because health doesn't end, work doesn't end, relationships don't end. They just keep going. It's all a continuum. And every time I treated it like I just need to get to this point, then I would start out strong and then stop, in failure. I was always touch and go, as I've said before. I began with intensity and then I couldn't sustain it. No one can, really. Because I was chasing an outcome instead of learning to love the process. But something lately has been shifting for me over the last few years. It's a different direction. And I've really started to see that the goal is not the point. It's hardly ever the point. Because there's really no end. And so the life that I say I want is built on the things that I don't always feel like doing. Like today, I've got this headache, I'm thinking slowly. And it's the call I don't want to make that leads to the work that I actually love. It's the meal that I prepare that becomes the health that I live in. It's the time that I spend with people, even when it's inconvenient. And it becomes the relationships that I value most. It shows up in really simple ways. I actually enjoy doing laundry. I enjoy watering the plants. And I like keeping a home. But I really don't love sitting down to pay bills. It's not even seeing the money go out the window. It's I just don't like getting in front of the computer and sitting there. I like to move. And I don't love making the calls that I need for work. But that's what sets up those calls. Those calls are what set up what I do love. And that's the meetings, the in-person meetings. And that's where I love to be. And so I started asking myself, what if I learned to love what must be done? The hard thing. And for me, this has been deeply tied to my faith. Because I spent a lot of years just striving, chasing self-satisfaction, thinking if I can just get this right, then I'll be okay. I'll do this in my own power, and therein lies the problem. But turning my focus towards Jesus has changed all of that. It's helped me to be more content and be more grateful and take the next right step. Not perfectly, but consistently, relatively consistently, and giving myself grace even when I'm not consistent. And I've seen something shift. Confidence instead of fear. Perseverance instead of quitting. Daily steps instead of wild starts and abrupt stops. Because love is what sustains action. Not pressure, not force, not willpower, none of those things. And if you hate what you're doing, you won't keep doing it. And I wonder sometimes if that's what's meant by the verse, do everything as if unto the Lord. If you can't learn to love it even a little bit, even just a little, it changes everything. And that's why I filmed this today. Not because I felt like it. I certainly don't feel like it. But because I'm learning to love what needs to be done in submission and obedience to my calling. So even when it's inconvenient, or even when I don't feel great, because this is the life. This is life. And so maybe it's not so much about always enjoying the journey. Maybe it's about learning to love what must be done. So if this resonates with you, what's something in your life right now? Something that you're learning to show up for, even when you don't feel like it. Even when it sucks. Not perfectly, but in the right direction.